this. So the inaugural session till now we had a perspective from government of Madhya Pradesh, from government of India, from industry, from Niti Aayog. Let's have a perspective from our organization who are working relentlessly for the water sector. Let us welcome Mr. V. Raman, Head of Policy, WaterAid. Raman, your thoughts and vision on Har Ghar Jal, especially focusing Madhya Pradesh. I'll request if you can kindly confine your speech within 10 minutes because we are running a little late and we have to start the next session around 12:45. So over to you, Mr. Raman. If you can unmute your mic, please.
Thank you so much. And, I was listening to curiously to the Additional Chief Secretary of Madhya Pradesh, and also was looking at the leadership of the MP Jal Nigam, both the director and the project director, and also the words from National Water Mission and the Niti Aayog, and also the one specific corporate service provider. I am getting one very important vibe here is that Madhya Pradesh, has looked at Jal Jeevan Mission from a very feasibility perspective, and has looked at where they need single village schemes, and where there is water scarcity, specifically, low water table, or difficulty of source sustainability. They are going for multi-village schemes with support from private actors, including operations and maintenance for a decade time. So this is something quite significant, and it also implies the long-term vision, and the commitment of the government towards providing sustainable water supply to the entire population of the large state of Madhya Pradesh. So no wonder how the state. So I'm also happy that the Additional Chief Secretary, when he was talking about, he mentioned about Behrampur as a district which has done almost 100% piped water supply, functional household tap connection to all houses, wherein WaterAid has been supporting the PHED in training, in organizing the need assessment, planning, and then the final execution of these schemes. So quite happy that Behrampur, some of the other states and districts have reached that level, but I think the Behrampur scheme has started after the Jal Jeevan Mission, and the other schemes started prior to the Jal Jeevan Mission, and they completed at the time when the Jal Jeevan Mission was reporting the achievement. So there is a very clear difference of the way MP is proceeding with this. So that is something that I'm quite happy about. Now, what I'm going to do is, when we heard that various state governments are also considering village schemes, I'm quite quickly sharing my screen to take you through. Sorry. So this is not allowing me to do that. So I'll just take you through the points. No worries. What I'm going to do is, we looked at some very specific schemes. So the Jal Jeevan Mission speaks that when to consider a multi-village scheme, in comparison to a single village scheme, which is the ideal one for Jal Jeevan Mission. So there are some, specific reasons for which, like the how to build community participation and ownership, how to divide roles and responsibilities in management, how to ensure operations and maintenance arrangement, how to ensure last mile supplies and source sustainability, water quality management, governance and accountability arrangements, has been a concern listed by Jal Jeevan Mission while going for the multi-village scheme. But Madhya Pradesh is taking care of some of these issues from the very beginning. But of course, when we studied five state level schemes, actually six, including the Mission Bhagirath in Telangana, Har Ghar Jal Ka Nal in Bihar, Jal Nidhi in Kerala, Basudha in Odisha, Vasmo in Gujarat, Jal Nirmal in Karnataka, Mission Bhagirath in Telangana. These six large schemes we looked at to understand what all are the building on the past, what all are the key learnings that can that can be taken up by various states who are undertaking multi-village scheme. And then, for examples, we also looked at little smaller schemes, like one of the Madhya Pradesh Jal Nigam run scheme in the Mardanpur Sehor district of Madhya Pradesh, and also Lakidi Perur in Palakkad district of Kerala, Matto in Badrak district of Orissa, and Makhana in Kutch district of Gujarat. So we looked at demand and demand versus offered scheme. Sometimes the schemes are not demanded by the community. So one very important thing that we realize is that demand generation is quite important. So how to do that when you are going for 76 multi-village schemes in Madhya Pradesh, under implementation 49, and proposed is 27. That is the number that was shown. So in this 76 schemes, how the schemes are demand driven. So in most of the schemes that we studied, the demand part of it, how to generate, how to mobilize community, that part was little bit weak, because this was broadly driven from the top, an agency doing the hardware part of it. So the software was one issue that came up in quite almost all schemes, we should say. So I think Madhya Pradesh definitely will attend to this demand generation for piped water supply in those areas where multi-village schemes are preferred. The second is about community participation, which is quite well known. So, how to ensure panchayats, gram sabhas, and various institutional structures owning, participating, and also taking leadership in the planning and implementation and management, post management processes. In addition, while the responsibility of the operations and maintenance is lying with the implementing agency, the private company who is but how that is linked with the community, how the community is able to look at these things, is something that we have to look at. We have to look at technical design. So from Madanpur also, and also Makhana in Gujarat, what we found is that the very specific technical designs are there were some flows. So some villages were left out of the water availability from the water supply scheme. So unless and until the gravity and various other issues are looked at well, so the technical designs needs to be taken care. That is one learning that we are getting. So that those villages, particularly some of those villages will be in the high terrain, and all that will be marginalized populations. So we need to really take care of those populations also to get water supply, despite having the infrastructure. If they are not getting that, may not be an ideal situation. So how to prevent that kind of a situation from the very beginning is important. And the third is the capital cost versus monthly tariff, and also the life cycle costing was missing in many cases. So maybe while making the TORs for the private agencies, whosoever is implementing, one of the things that the government may, the Jal Nigam may like to focus is about building uh, the life cycle costing arrangement, wherein in addition to the capex and the opex, there is if there is some damage or something of happening of the capital, for the management of those and replacement of those, in between the stipulated time, a reserve fund with special kind of arrangements, not to in order to avoid pilferage and wastage, some tie-ups, some clauses to be needed. But how to make that manex, the management expenditure, available is another issue that has flagged. And operations and maintenance in Madhya Pradesh, you are saying, the from the very beginning, you are saying that the agency will do it for a decade, 10 years. But on the other hand, how the communities can avail some of these issues, how a grievance redressal mechanism will work for it, how a monitoring and review mechanism will work for it, since there are 76 schemes, and this will be covering considerable number of, if I am correct, around 20,000 or more villages will be covered under this. So how to set up a monitoring mechanism, the data kind of flow, and all the other things that the Schneider Electric they have shown. But beyond that, the state government also has to have from wards to gram sabha to panchayats to blocks to district to state level, how the reporting and issues, what kind of problems were raised and how they were sorted out. Those issues are to be looked at. And governance and accountability is another area where because one very specific issue that we found in some of the schemes are, since the accessibility of the service providers are higher to officer levels at the district level or block level, how we will also ensure that the problems and concerns of the people will be heard, and they will be addressed by the service providers, is something that we found that is very important to look at. So how the Madhya Pradesh upcoming schemes and the under implementation schemes will look at, this issue of the power balance is another point that I wanted to bring in. Then source
Mhm.
sustainability is of course an issue. So in addition to the operations and maintenance, the agency whichever is doing water supply based on groundwater schemes and also surface water schemes, including check dams and various other things in the flowing water and rainwater harvesting and other kind of systems and source recharging kind of arrangements for these groundwater sources, how to make the responsibility of the service providers in that also is something that the MVS should consider. And I've listed almost all the key learnings from here. So it is about technical design and futuristic design, wherein the population growth and other things are addressed and very well modularly. The pipe water supply schemes are implemented so that the additional needs are met in time. Whenever people are asking for connection, they should be in a position to be given. And concurrent and independent monitoring, I told, and accountability of service providers, that is another issue for operations maintenance and source sustainability. And social audit processes is another area where we can build in community participation in the overall processes. In the gram sabha, it can be an addition or something like that. And in the institutions like schools, anganwadis, and hospitals, it is very important that the Rogi Kalyan Samitis, school management committees, and the village health and nutrition committees, those kinds of committees are also given specific responsibilities of monitoring. So some of those things. And finally, one other thing that we found in the large scale schemes are, when some public protest or, those kinds of things are occurring in some of the places, if the infrastructure has some kind of setbacks because of the agitation, protest, or something like that. So we need to also think about some legal protection and legal measures for including these as the essential services infrastructure, so that accountability of those kinds of organizations, whosoever is going into those kinds of movements, those are fixed. So essential services infrastructure, declaring the pipe water supply infrastructure is another thing. So these are the key things. So there are a set of recommendations that are come from these studies. One is about involvement of the gram panchayat, block panchayats, and the district panchayats in the entire process, so that the panchayat raj institutions are quite clearly both for elected representatives and the staff structure of the PRI structures. And urban rural amalgamation may be needed in some places wherever it is a district headquarter or a block headquarter, which is a municipal area or a declared urban area or something like that. So how will you interface the urban rural kind of convergence in those areas, so that the rural areas there is water supply, but the urban areas are not getting. So those are some imbalances can come. So how to address that? And finally, when the spatial transfer is happening from one place to the last point of that water supply system, the source areas and the nearby areas, if they are facing water scarcity in future, that can also lead to several types of dissatisfactions among the community. So how to look at those issues from the very beginning, so that the source sustainability issues can be addressed. So in the contracts and in the QRs and in the other specific documentation that are prepared for engaging the service providers, some of these issues are very importantly to be covered, is another kind of thing that we have found. And apex level committee and grievance redressal mechanism is another very important thing that has come up. So
Got it.
if yeah, I'm finalizing, sorry, yeah. So very importantly, how we are integrating the roles and responsibilities very clearly narrated for various actors involved is another thing to look at when we are incorporating multi-village schemes. So 76 schemes of Madhya Pradesh which is coming up. I wish MP Jal Nigam all the best, and to learn from the past, to build on the past, learning from whatever specific problems that the previous multi-village schemes would have faced, how to strengthen all those points and how to cover all those gaps, how to actually fill all those gaps, and to make water supply available even to the most powerless and the marginalized communities of Madhya Pradesh. I'm sure the MP Jal Nigam will succeed in this mission. All the best to all of you, and thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That was V. Raman, Head of Policy, WaterAid. If I take a crux of what he has said, that it has been that one is technical design, effective technical design, good governance, and also capital and community participation and futuristic planning that has to be done there. And as you have said rightly at the end, that learning from the past to move into the right direction for future, I'm sure your suggestions will be taken note by MP John Ligam and that will